Thrilled to be here at the Montalvo Arts Center for our Northern California meeting today. Very special, really special to have all of you and our wonderful speaker. This event has been planned primarily by Judah Lammerts and by Kimberly, who are our program chairs for Northern California. And I'm going to turn it over to Judah. She will introduce the sponsors to you, and then our Director of Education, Rhonda Kuchigian, is here, and she will introduce our speaker. Thank you. And during lunch, I'm going to do the WIPA pitch. Okay? Everybody prepared?
Welcome from my side as well, and without much ado, I have to tell you this Day Today is a joint production of at least 24 people, and I really have to thank all our wonderful sponsors that did an incredible job, and without them it wouldn't have been possible. And the first and foremost, is of course this venue, Villa Montalvo, and the venue coordinator, Kathleen Kirkpatrick. And I would like to ask her to tell you a little bit about the venue here. It's just so spectacular. And Kathleen, where are you? Please.
Well, first I want to say how excited we are to have all of you here. I've been trying for years to get WIPA down here, so thank you, Judah, and your team, and everybody for showing up today, taking a lot of time out of your day to visit. I'll just give you a couple basic facts. We're a nonprofit arts center. We have visual arts, performing arts, we have children's summer camp. We have the largest artist residency on the property on the West Coast. We have artists from all over the world staying here. I handle special events, all the rentals and corporate events, and this is my lovely new assistant, Stephanie. Yay! I'm so lucky to have her here. As far as events, we have this theater that seats 300. We have the Garden Theater you walk by where we do big concerts. We have Chris Bodie tomorrow night. It seats over 1,200. In the villa, I can do dinners, seated dinners for up to 350 on the front and side veranda. We can do big corporate events for 2,000–3,000. And the house was built in 1912. It was a private home for Senator James Duval Phelan. He lived alone. The oval garden out back, where I had a few ceremony chairs set up, is the old swimming pool. The upstairs is open for bridal party. We have beautiful dressing rooms. After lunch, I'm happy to give tours of the whole house to anybody who wants to stay. So thank you.
And what Kathleen did not tell you is that she will donate the main raffle prize today, and that will be an associate membership for Montalvo Arts Center, together with 2 tickets for a concert. And I have it here, and I hope you all drop your business cards into our bowl so that you have a chance to get one of these raffle prizes. By the way, it will be one of the biggest raffles in WIPA history. More of that later. We have more prizes to come. My next thank you after the venue goes to our food and drink section. First and foremost, Culinary Eye, Chef John Silva. Most of you have already had the opportunity to taste some of his creations over cocktail hour, and it was really delicious. Loved the crab cakes. John believes that life's fondest memories are built not just on great company, but also on excellent food, attractive presentation, and impeccable service. And I think you lived up to that already. And just wait until you see lunch. And along with that, we have delicious wine brought to us from historic Soda Rock Winery by Isabel Adams, who goes way back with WIPA and who donated the wine again. Soda Rock Winery offers a delicious array of wines with a focus on Bordeaux varietals. And the winery itself is nestled in gorgeous Alexandra Valley, and it offers a stunning backdrop for weddings as well. And after lunch, accompanied by that wine, we will have a cake. And the cake has been brought to us by Judy Chadwick of True Confections, who has been creating simple, elegant, and delectable wedding cakes in the Greater Bay Area for 20 years. And to go with a cake, it just doesn't stop here, and to go with a cake, Bill Choi of Travelin' Joe Espresso has brought us coffee. He's been serving the Bay Area's finest events since 1993. And his high-capacity mobile espresso bars serve fantastic coffee. I tried it, believe me, it's incredible. And they have also a beautiful presentation, as you will see, already have seen. And next up, the backbone of our event, rentals. Abbey Party Rents has been serving Northern California since 1947, providing equipment and services for all types of events: conventions, weddings, film festivals, street fairs, barbecues, cocktail parties, holiday gatherings, you name it, while maintaining excellent relationships with the finest San Francisco Bay Area venues, as you can see here, and caterers. Mike Seramin has recently taken over from his dad, and he is now presenting a range of beautiful new inventory. And you might have already had a chance to sit on it. The beautiful lounge furniture in the courtyard is from Mike. So I absolutely wanted to have it for this event, and I'm sure you will love it too. And speaking of beautiful decor, my next thank you belongs to Deidre Rastelli for her gorgeous flowers. Her company, Tutti Fiori Floral Design, is a San Francisco-based design studio specializing in weddings and special events throughout the greater San Francisco Bay Area and Napa-Sonoma wine country. Deidre has been showcasing her work yearly at the Filoli Flower Show in Menlo Park and at the Bouquets to Art Show at the De Young Museum in San Francisco. And Deidre is donating one of her fantastic centerpieces towards our raffle. More decor to come, you have seen it. George Rose has brought us his 1933 Packard limousine, a true treasure and sheer eye candy. George's company, Elegant Journey, is featuring only the finest. Exquisite antique and classic Rolls-Royces, luxurious, fully equipped, custom-stretched Rolls-Royces, and exotic limousines that will add a memorable presence to any very special day. And that's why I wanted his Packard just where you come in. And I absolutely love the car. George, by the way, hunted that car down for a full 12 years. It's one of a kind, there is no other, and he wanted this car and he got it. And now comes the entertainment section of my thank yous. First of all, of course, music. For over 25 years, harpist Krista Strader has performed for international royalty, Hollywood celebrities, and political dignitaries, among them Arnold Schwarzenegger, Colin Powell, and Richard Nixon. And today, she played the harp for us in the courtyard. Krista is available for weddings, private galas, and corporate functions throughout the Bay Area. And her premiere recording, The Journey, a collection of Celtic and popular melodies, is now available on Apple iTunes. And 2 lucky raffle winners among you will take one of Krista's CDs home today. And next, our fashion show. It was just fabulous, gorgeous, incredible. Saida and Chantal are behind that. They opened their bridal studio Nouvelle Vogue in April 2005 in downtown San Mateo, to bring to the Bay Area, then for the first time, the most prestigious international bridal designers, reinventing bridal fashion presentation within a comprehensive styling concept. And to bring all that to life, we have models here. You have seen them walking around and they fit right in. It's just so beautiful to see the girls walking through the garden. One of them, Ariane Omar, is a bride herself, a recent bride herself, and she just couldn't get enough of bridal gowns, so here she is. She has been styled expertly by hairstylist Marsha Omar of Main Attractions, who has been in the industry for 9 years and who has trained at Paul Mitchell, Vidal Sassoon, and Toni and Guy Academies. Passionate about hairstyling, she's always up to trying something new. And what she tried today is just fabulous. And for makeup, we have Sahar Omar, specializing in natural and enhanced looks for all ages. And I have to say a very, very special thank you for our second hair and makeup artist, Tiffany Chang of Design Her Image, who jumped in at the very, very last minute when somebody dropped out to help out with all the other models. Without her, we couldn't have done it. Saying thank you so much, Tiffany. And while I've been talking, you have probably quietly consulted your programs to see what's next. Our beautiful letterpress programs were made by Red Peters Press, a letterpress print shop in Oakland that creates beautiful hand-printed work and offers workshops where you can come print your own letterpress wedding invites. So I think this program that Rebecca made for us today speaks for itself. And speaking of handmade printed materials, I would like to thank Sally Laporta for our one-of-a-kind hand-calligraphed menus. Just wait until you see them. Sally also provided our party favors today, also at the very last moment. Thank you, Sally, for that action. calligraphing on seeded paper that's ready for you to plant and bloom in just a little while. And please don't forget to take 1 or 2 out on the way out and plant them and remember our day today. Sally's company, the Monks of Age Custom Calligraphy, provides handcrafted calligraphy for weddings and special events, specializing in matching pre-printed invitation script. Also available is custom design for an entire wedding invitation package. And since we are talking of favors, I have to thank one other contributor who can't be here with us today because she is based in St. Paul, Minnesota, Janelle Carlson. Her company, Authentic Common Sense, is dedicated to providing elegant 100% natural soy candles, hand-poured with care in small batches for highest quality. Janelle sells and ships nationwide through Etsy, which, as we all know, is the cottage industry of the digital age. So it's accessible easily online. That's how I found her. And for our raffle today, Janelle has donated 3 boxes of her fragrant candles, which also, of course, make beautiful wedding favors. And last but not least, we thank our photographer and videographer who are tirelessly capturing every moment of our event. Photographer Aue Santos of Photograffiti truly understands the power of visuals and storytelling. Shooting professionally for over a decade and certified by the Professional Photographic Commission, she specializes in experiential photography, which puts equal emphasis on truly experiencing the day and the creation of fine art photography. Among her clients are UC Berkeley, the California Academy of Science, and Coca-Cola. And our videographer, Michael Loeb, has been in the industry since 1986, starting with photography, and he has been a photographer in more than 1,000, listen to that, 1,000 weddings. You will find him on Here Comes the Guide, and he was the featured.
A lovely acknowledgement, put together such a lovely party. Thank you all for coming. Again, I'm Rhonda Kujinian with WIPA, USA. Honored to be a part of the educational programs in Northern and Southern California. So excited about today's presentation. We're going to be talking about a really hot topic, building your personal brand, building your brand. And we all know that developing and nurturing your brand identity is critical in defining yourself within a marketplace, particularly weddings, and separating yourself from your peers. To effectively establish your brand, it's important to define your unique point of view, identify your target niche, and then market yourself in areas where you will reach your audience in ways consistent with your brand identity. Today we're honored to have, Kristin Banta from Kristin Banta Events as our presenter. Her events, from society weddings and exclusive locations to film and music industry soirees, are as unique and diversified as her clientele, which range from Fortune 500 companies to multi-platinum recording artists. This past summer, Kristin served as the weekly wedding expert for the Hallmark Channel's Home and Family Wedding. She is the host for Style Network's new show, Keep the Party Moving, which will air this coming Tuesday. So everybody tune in this Tuesday. In 2012, Kristin had her own Bravo special, The Ringleader, which premiered on Valentine's Day, showcasing her signature out-of-the-box style and revolutionizing the way couples look at their special day. The show re-aired for an encore Bravo presentation as The Wedding Party throughout the summer of 2012. Kristin also recently appeared as the correspondent for KTLA on their holiday segments. A featured designer on the Mark Burnett DreamWorks series for TNT Wedding Day, she can also be seen throughout the 3rd season of Bravo's Millionaire Matchmaker as the wedding designer and planner for host Patty Stanger. A frequent contributor for many of the leading wedding and event publications, accomplished public speaker, and our educational presenter, please join me in welcoming Kristin Banta.
Rhonda, you said I'd have backup dancers. But you didn't think I'd open with that, did you? Thank you so much for having me today. WIPA is, an organization that I feel very passionate about, and I feel so honored that I get to be here today speaking with you, and hopefully getting to meet many of you later. I want to thank Rhonda, of course, for introducing me. She's one of my heroes in our industry, and certainly one of our fearless leaders, and has been for a number of years. I actually wanted a fog machine, and I had this vision of the stage rising, but really wasn't the budget this year. So we're talking about brand. It's a hot topic right now. I don't know why this is kind of on the tip of everyone's tongue right now, but it's definitely something that I love to talk about. As consumers, we don't have relationships with products, but we do have relationships with the brands. Brand is what we believe in. It's what we stand for. It's what we promise to our consumers. It's our unique point of view. And obviously, we all know the large ones. Google, Nike, the global big guys, Apple. And we know some of the biggies in our industry. Vera, Martha, The Knot, Kristin Banta events, Hoppy. Establishing a clear brand identity is not just applicable to the Fortune 500s, though, or the celebs. It's imperative for all of us, whether you have 250 employees or whether it's you and a phone line and a half-eaten moldy sandwich in your garage. It's something that all of us need to not just develop and have an awareness of, but to constantly reevaluate. Brands are our backbone. They are the things that create passion. They're the things that can inspire. The most successful brands are built from the inside out on differentiation. It's what sets you apart from your peers. It's not just what you say, but it's how you're perceived. It's what's behind the brand that allows us to instantly conjure up an image and an impression the second we hear that name. So you've got to ask yourselves, how do people see me? And does that match how you see yourself? So ask yourself, what are your strengths? How would you describe yourself, and how would others describe you? I mean, it's a tough question to ask for many of us. Certainly is for me. I mean, my strengths are eating cake and hors d'oeuvres, drinking wine, swearing generally like a trucker, generally being a lot sarcastic and a little spastic. Obviously, that wasn't the best Running Man. Generally not taking myself too seriously, as I just did the Running Man for you at noon, sober. If I think about it, I'm also good at managing and inspiring a team. I'm good at creating and communicating a unique vision. I'm good at having the imagination to relish in taking a blank slate and coming up with a full story behind it. What does the consumer associate with your brand? Are you edgy? Are you reliable, fun, traditional? Are you family-based? My consumers associate me with being non-traditional, edgy, creative, out of the box, expert at the Running Man. Next, you've got to be very clear on what services you offer. How would you describe what you do? If you are a florist, do you specialize in florals, or are you also a decor provider? Are you a videographer, or do you consider yourself a cinematographer? If you're a planner, would you be considered a coordinator, a designer, a producer? Because there's a big difference. I built my career in studying all aspects of my trade, not so that I could be a jack of all trades, but so that I could at least speak the languages. I do coordinate, and that is a big part of what I do. However, the heart of my business is floor-to-ceiling design and production management. I'm a producer. Next, how do you define how you stand out? It's important to know the benefits of what you offer versus what others offer. You're leveraging your unique set of talents. Be known for something. My brand is based on abandoning formula and redefining tradition. That's what I'm known for. So how about you? How would you answer that question? It's not enough just to assume that your company is going to stand out based on talent alone or your specialization. To have a strong brand, you have to stand for something. The economic crisis didn't kill the luxury market. It just made consumers more discerning. If your brand image is clear, the consumer is going to know exactly what to expect and what separates you from other companies offering the same services. And in the world of small businesses, most of us are void of hard assets. We don't have factories. Your brand is that one asset that holds true value. It's that one thing that at the end of your career, or certainly your career in whatever business you're in right now, that's the one thing that you can sell. The power of your brand comes from the degree to which it's known. You're likely never going to be one of those big global guys and have the global recognition that they do, or the marketing horsepower to have that sort of level of awareness, but you don't need it either. The most powerful brand in your target market is all you need. So when was the last time you evaluated your brand? You may be very clear on who you are and what your brand is and stands for, but we need to constantly reevaluate. For me, I am often asked how I developed my brand and how it kind of developed into what it is today. So the questions that we need to ask ourselves are, what are the experiences that we've had that will ultimately define our brand? Pretty much everything that we've done are those things that pretty much cultivate what that is. For me, I come from divorced parents. I was born in Indianapolis and I moved to Los Angeles. Well, I moved to Belmont Shore right on the beach when I was 12 years old. I arrived wearing like a kilt and an Oxford cloth shirt, and I'd come from a prep school, and all my friends, my new friends, had like the claw at that time. That dates me a little bit, but we're gonna go with it. They wore like OP t-shirts and they drank coolers and beer by the pier on the beach, something that I completely had never even imagined. And they said bitchin' a lot. I was like a man without an island. Nobody knew what I was even talking about, what I was wearing. I was very different and really had to develop a sense of self to kind of stand on my own. I eventually, because my parents were divorced, I moved back from Long Beach to Indianapolis once again. And by the time I moved back, I had the claw. I said bitchin'. I said gnarly a lot. I had like my OP t-shirt, and everyone was like, oh my God, what is she saying? And you know, I was, again, a man without an island. And at that point, because this is, you know, something that I'd become accustomed to, I started to develop a confidence in having a less popular point of view, in going against sort of the traditions or the orthodox thing that you do in the areas that I was living in. I began to accept my role of going against trend and the portrayal of what is common or normal. And so eventually I got sick of doing back and forth. I left high school. I didn't finish. It wasn't for me. But I did go to college, and that was an amazing transformation for me. I was at Pepperdine. I was in theater arts, and I found my people that kind of went against the grain. And I loved it. I was in a program where I studied everything from scenic carpentry to lighting design. I studied stage management, welding, set building. I know it's frightening to think of me wielding like a welding tool, but that happened. I eventually found my home in production, and it was a good home. Later I graduated, I went to UCLA, and I did a marketing program there, which also really had a big impact on my early career. When I started working, I actually started in retail display. I was designing displays. I was a terrible salesperson. So they swept me off the floor and had me go do something in the window, which was much better for me because I could just be by myself tweaking on building things for the window. Through that experience, I started kind of getting with a group of fashion designers, and that was my times. God love them, but this is not for me. And they said, you know, just do it in a way that you would do that. Right? I was reluctant, but it intrigued me. And I had that aha moment. It occurred to me that if I didn't relate to traditions and craved a more unusual way of approaching things and presenting weddings, then others must as well. Whether we realize it or not, our entire body of experience is what is cultivating our brand identity. So, based on my unique set of influences, I set out to create an event production company, specializing in weddings and planning, and targeting weddings that had a non-traditional spin. My brand was founded on the things that I believed in, the things that I was passionate about, the things that define me. For starters, I established on a departure from formula. I don't like anyone to tell me what I have to do. I don't like that. So I know that if I don't like that, then there's other people that don't like that. Why do we have to do it that way? I want to tell it in a different way. I want to tell it in my unique way. I want, you know, my clients to be able to tell something in their unique way. And I love that challenge. I had an abandonment of trend. For me, it's just nothing that I ever saw having a home in weddings. I didn't understand trend in weddings. It's, you know, it's about the couple. The couple will hopefully be able to look back on many, many fond photos of them wearing MC Hammer pants and their Ed Hardy t-shirts and a trucker hat and their skinny jeans, and they can look back fondly on those memories. However, it doesn't have to be at their wedding. And neither does tradition if they don't relate to it. The wedding should be universally who they are, and not just who they are that year that they only wore that relaxed t-shirt. Again, I'm dating myself, but we're gonna go with that. Specializing in space transformations. This was my passion, so this is a big part of my brand. I personally, I love a ballroom. I love the opportunity, a ballroom with a budget, preferably, but I love the opportunity to transform a space, and it's like The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, where you open the doors and there's a whole world going on that you didn't expect, and hopefully one that represents, in the wedding space, that couple's Uber home. I love that challenge. I love the idea of articulating that client's unique point of view in all areas of production, from the food and beverage to the music. It's an opportunity to tell a story in a way that takes the guest on a journey that impacts each sense and shows them who the couple is in every detail, from the song selections to the textiles we use to those little birds that we hid in the tablescapes that represented that time that they were eating a baguette in San Marcos Square and they were attacked by pigeons. Whatever, I mean, it's about their inside jokes, it's about the things that make them laugh and smile and that make them distinctive from anyone else. I am passionate about marriage equality. This is a big part of my brand. I've been a vocal advocate for gay marriage within my community for many, many years, and that's something that is a big part of my brand. I believe that all love is equally valid and should be celebrated and something that we have the right to, period. I am supportive of this not being her day. The bride and groom should be equally involved. Unless he loves pink, in which case, Godspeed. If that wedding is floor-to-ceiling pink, I have failed. It's amazing to me that this is somehow her day. She's the only one that can have a vision. I mean, we ladies, we do have vision. However, we don't have the corner of the market. Some of the most amazing artistic minds are also men. And if they don't have a voice or know how to articulate it, it's my job to show them. And this is something I'm passionate about. I believe that this is so far beyond, what are your colors? I mean, it's why? What does that have to do? Unless you are literally the person that walks around town in head to toe purple, and that's your deal, and they're like, oh, you're the purple guy. I mean, it's so much more than that, and I feel like I don't want to dumb it down. I'm passionate about trying to articulate more than that, and trying to articulate it in a way that has definition and interest and explosiveness and poignancy, and all the things that give us the arc of who we are as human beings. Because we're not just poignant as human beings. We are funny, we are interesting, we are emotional, we are sarcastic, we are irreverent, we are all of these wonderful things. And there should be those moments told in a beautiful way, whatever that way is, present at a wedding, and in a way that, for me, is a well-choreographed show. It's a show that has soul, and it has a heartbeat, but it is a show that is telling the story of the couple. And finally, for me, my brand was developed on my idea that there are no rules, and it's something I'm really passionate about. It doesn't have to be a bridal party. It doesn't have to be a white dress. There don't have to be any flowers or candles. It's all about what defines the couple for me. I've done everything. Do you want to get that? It's totally fine. Okay. I thought I'd jump on. I mean, like, put it in. You know, I think about it, and I've done weddings from, you know, a couple that loved pirate ships. I know, scary. And developed that into a gypsy tent village, to a couple that loved Victorian style and also was really passionate about Tim Burton, and developed something that made sense out of that. I I love these things. I found a way to transition from one couple who wanted kind of Hamptons on the West Coast, but he loved James Bond, and how do we transition to James Bond from this? And I've done everything. I love those things. I've served breakfast for dinner. I've tray passed black water. I've hung furniture upside down. I've created edible candy clouds. I've hung and installed 5,000 cranes. I've set 150 antlers dipped in black latex paint on a table. I've created cages as headpieces for servers from the underworld. Why not, right? I mean, it's about their vision. Give me a challenge. You know, I mean, everything needs to be done with class and a level of taste, of course. But I think that we can have fun with it. And that's how I define my brand. It's based on all the things that I'm into. My brand summary is abandoning formula, transcending trend, and articulating individuality. So, I've defined who I am, what I'm into, what I'm about. So who's my audience? They're my people. Your audience are your people. My people are edgy, they're contrarians, they're a little rebellious, they're theatrical, obviously. They're trendsetters, fashion forward, they're funny, they're confident, they're definitely a little irreverent. So what about you? Who relates to you? You've got to be able to define your brand in a couple of sentences. My brand identification is a non-traditional event producer specializing in high-concept, original productions for those wanting to tell their stories in a fresh, unique, relevant way. I love the couture, I love the theatrical, I love the fearless, and I don't believe that trend has a place. My chosen tagline has always been, every event tells a story, what will yours say? So now who relates to me? I guess I established my brand before I even knew that that's what I was doing. I haven't wavered in my delivery of that message, even though I might not have known that's what I was doing at the time. I was once approached by one of my peers who came up to me and he was like, Banta, you know, the thing about you is, you know, people come up and they say, like, they always say the same thing about you. They're like, God, that Kristin Banta, she's just so out of the box. It's like everyone's reading your press kit. How do you do that? Sound like George Bush, didn't he? I didn't mean it that way. I loved that. It was this moment where I was like, you know, I've done something right. That's great. I love that, you know, I love that there's a consistency there. That's so cool. And I didn't know, you know, I'd love to take credit and be like, well, I planned all of that from the beginning. I didn't, you know, I said, like, that's very interesting and just took note. That was a very unintentional but really wonderful message to get back, that I had developed that consistency, whether I knew it fully or accidentally. So what do your consumers need to know about you? What do they need to hear about you in order to commit? If you can identify the 3 greatest strengths and weaknesses of your brand, that's really important. Obviously, we want to capitalize on the strengths, and clearly we want to minimize your weaknesses. Well, of course. But those strengths are essentially, they're your bat signal. They're that signal that helps your audience find you. They're the messages that you need to constantly, like a metronome pattern, reiterate to your consumer. As for your weaknesses, it's okay to admit them. I mean, I'm not the best choice with people with small budgets that want to go a little design light. I'm maybe not the best gal if you want a horse-drawn carriage and a sea of mason jars and mustaches. And that's okay, because somebody else is, and that's all great. I know who I am, and I know what I excel at, and I know who my audience is, and they know that I can deliver what they want. That's the point. There's enough to go around. You just need to find your audience by relating to them through bat signal. Obviously, if you have the wrong bat signal, you could be bringing in something very different than what you'd intended. So, you know, knowing what you're putting out there is important, because it's the old, if you build it, they will come. What you put out there is who you're going to get back. Brands are about finding that alignment between what your customer is thinking and what you're saying. There's got to be an emotional connection between your consumer and your company, and your brand should be the way in which you reach them. Brand image held by all of these groups has to sync into one identity. You have to maintain a clear understanding of your vision and your values, and to determine what is your bat signal. Is it a mustache? Is it a bow? I mean, what is it? What is your thing? Once you know your audience, then you have to make sure that you are clearly and effectively and constantly communicating that unique value that you offer and bring to the table. So how do we cultivate our brand? How do we grow it? Remember that your brand is reflected in every aspect of your business, and all aspects need to feel like that one personality and that one same person. You need to project a consistent look, consistent tone in your communications, certainly a consistent level of quality. Everything, your emails, your logo, collateral, voicemail greeting, blog, images, promotional materials, your web presence, all should reflect the same imaging. The same consistency is key. So, I mean, if you've got a crazy person answering your phone, unless your business is built on crazy, that's probably going to be a misstep. If you have an assistant that addresses all of your clients as bro or home skillet, that's funny to me. But unless, you know, that's your niche, if your clients are all, you know, in their 70s, that may not be how you want to roll. You know, if you're a baker that's trying to sell wedding cakes and your headshot looks like you should be jumping out of one, you know, it's all about how you are communicating that image in every single thing. If you're wearing vintage sweatpants and have an ironic beard and, you know, mullet, and that's going to really project one thing to that one client, and they're going to see you and be like, that's my guy. But if your client is a buyer for Chanel, maybe not so consistent. Your business card shouldn't be underestimated either. It's the first thing. That's that first thing that basically is what kind of links your people to filling in the blanks about you. They meet you, they get your business card, and that's the next thing they see. They've evaluated you and your mullet, whatever your thing is, and then they're looking at your card. So what are they filling in? Evaluating everything, the paper, the size, the logo. You know, if you're goth and your business card has daisies on it and you've dotted your name with a heart, you're confusing me. It's important to have that in every single aspect. You know, for me, my logo was created in green. It's my favorite color. I picked the color because it was deeper than that, obviously. For me, it suggested a freshness, something that wasn't automatically associated with weddings. I went with an unusual size to my card because I guess that was my way of challenging tradition. I picked a script to convey movement and less sort of rigidness. And I wanted a strong font to portray the K. My whole life I've been called K or KB, and so that, I felt like that needed to be present. But I also wanted a pop of color, so I thought, okay, well, you know, if I have this K, I want to do it in a masculine font, the Garamond. And then if it's a little bit more masculine, then maybe I can infuse this little pop of color without it being too girly, because I'm not maybe super girly. And so that was how that developed for me. And I thought about all these things. You know, website is a big monster of things, isn't it? I'm trying to redo mine right now, and it hurts my head even thinking about it. You know, staying up with technology is incredibly important. I've had a website that I created 12 years ago. I have grown. Additionally, so has technology. My consumers, you know, I know who they are. They are a very technologically forward-thinking consumer. So I need to make sure that the bat signal that's going to bring them in is something that's speaking to them. Because if not, they're out. They're going to think that I don't get them. And my website doesn't feel as fresh as it used to. So it's time, as begrudgingly as I've wanted to go down this path, because it feels like it's opening a can of worms, we got to do it. I chose a quote to appear on my current website that I felt summarized who I am and kind of what I'm into. I chose the picture of a bride that I feel most aligned to in my career, that I felt like she really got me as an artist in terms of who she is as a person. I love the femininity of her gown and the fact that it's Vera Wang and it's luxe, but I also love that it's black. I love that it's something a little different. Nothing is an accident. That's the point. Everything has to be considered as a statement about who you are and what you do. I love that dress. So good. So visibility is key. Once you've determined what sets your brand apart from your peers, then it's necessary to evaluate where the greatest opportunities for growth exist. Where do your consumers congregate? If you can determine where they circulate and then strive to create a brand presence and a voice in those communities. So what is that? There's so many different mediums anymore. It's hard to even stay abreast of all of them. I realize this, but the best start is at least trying to target which one is your people. Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, Pinterest, blogs, LinkedIn. Are they paper readers? Do they read the LA Times? Are they more of a bridal publication? Do they watch TV? What sort of TV do they watch? Are they reality TV watchers? Are they into other things? I use Twitter to showcase causes. I use this medium. I use it to highlight vendors, to feature my work sometimes, to inspire, occasionally just to make people laugh, or sometimes just to make myself laugh. I use Instagram to feature a little bit more photo-rich content. I use Pinterest to feature work to showcase my personal taste and to illustrate a certain level of style and personality through what I'm showcasing there. They're all different. I begrudgingly started a blog after God knows how many years of people saying, like, do you have a blog? Where's your blog? We're gonna need a blog. Really? Do we need another blog? I need one more litany about opinion and, isn't there enough? I don't even know how to cut through it myself. But, then I realized that it's not about what anybody else is doing. It's about the fact that my consumer actually cares. Whether I think there's too much out there or not, they care. They want to know what I think. They want to know what you think. And these are the mediums that we get to them and we tell them what we're about. Obviously, knowing search words that your consumer might use, this is also something that's really important because all of these things need to then have that keyword-rich content so that, again, they can find you. Bat signal. Additionally, targeting people of a certain lifestyle and speaking to their interest. It's a great way to connect and to maintain relationships with current and potentially new consumers. Networking with others that have that brand alignment, that's important. My husband's in the music industry, and so that's been a lot of my clients. So I try to kind of take the time to go to shows now and again and meet some of those people and to constantly be meeting and engaging with who I've identified as having a certain lifestyle that, again, has a presence in what I do and who I am and what my brand stands for. So what is that lifestyle for you? Where are your people within the lifestyle medium? If there's a specific nonprofit, this is another great way. Something that is in line with what your brand represents, engage. I'm super active within the gay community, and I'm a contributor for several gay publications that are gay-specific publications to show my support for marriage equality. I have been for a while, and I continue to endeavor new publications to have a presence within that world that are my people. If you can, it is always important to position yourself as a thought leader within your community. You can write a column. Maybe that's local, maybe it's regional, it doesn't have to be national. Writing something that basically showcases who you are, that starts to position yourself. Try to get on industry panels. As much as I love a road trip, I'm here to engage with you guys. I'm here to further my brand. 7 hours in the car, just saying. Create a YouTube channel, podcast, webinars. These things are important. I have my own YouTube channel. I hate to watch it. I hate watching that stuff. It's like, ugh. But a lot of people do check in on that, and that features all the shows that I've ever done, well, a lot of which, and it's all in one place, and that's a place where a lot of our consumers will congregate, and a lot of our people are reality TV people, so it's a good way of getting to them. Obviously, you can create your own blog, but you can also be a guest blogger. This is something that I've done a lot. There's so many different blogs, and if you didn't want to create one, don't want to create one, have no intention of ever creating one, there are a lot of forums where you can still have a brand presence. Apply for industry awards, it's another way of outreach. Participate in photo shoots. This is a great thing. If you have something that have a vision in your head, you want to showcase your style, get together with some of your brand-aligned peers and create something. If nothing else, it keeps your artistic chops up in whatever your medium is, right? Create advocacy by delivering on what you promise, as this is going to become the viral advertisement for your brand. If you can emotionally connect to your audience and motivate them into support, then this is going to lead your company into a brand expansion within your niche market. So you've established a brand, you've identified an audience, you've connected with your core consumer, and hopefully instigated an emotional reaction. So how do you protect it? How do you preserve it? Well, for starters, one of the things that I have been very careful about is choosing clients, and again, my group of suppliers that are aligned with my brand message. If these things are not consistent, it's okay to say no. This is your most valued asset. For instance, if I were to take on an all-pink wedding. An all-pink wedding with tons of bows and bling and roses. Again, that's beautiful. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's going to confuse my consumer. If I'm showcasing my work that features, you know, the couple in a horse-drawn carriage and she's wearing a crown, again, that's awesome. It's probably not my client though, so it's going to confuse. I have to involve myself with events that allow me to interpret the client's story from my unique voice. It doesn't mean I'm taking over their wedding. It certainly isn't my wedding, but they're coming to me to kind of run it through my channel. And so the stuff that I need to put out there needs to resonate that unique voice. Additionally, I'm very strict on who we work with and who's on my team. From my decor team, to my caterer, my musicians, to my photographer, I insist that I remain in control of who my subcontractors are going to be. That way I can control the end product. That's important to my consumer as well. They need to know that I can deliver on what they have seen that is brand consistent. If they insist on hiring someone that, for instance, a photographer that we feel like isn't going to shoot it in a way that is going to be brand consistent and allow me to get the press that I need and it's important to me, then I have brought in second teams before. It's just about having that forward thinking so that you can leverage the things that are your key messages and the tools that you have to put it out there and to reach that new consumer. Pursue press that supports your brand, on that note. Work vigilantly to control what is featured. I mean, my work has appeared in everything from Punk Rock Confidential to In Style. However, all of the outlets where I have had a presence, fortunately, have presented my brand in a very consistent light. I may know that I can get a particular wedding featured, but if it doesn't feel like it's going to read as consistent with my brand to the marketplace, it's probably better off that I actually refrain from getting it published. Consistency. I get asked about this a lot. In the past couple of years, I've definitely worked on creating a strong media platform, and the sort of core of that has been television. Didn't expect that that's where I'd end up. It happens to have been fairly consistently a pretty good fit. But the one thing that I always suggest when I'm asked about this, I've very carefully curated the present number of projects because I have to avoid risking my brand being arbitrarily portrayed. As if I'm cast on a TV show, I completely lose all of my control. So when I started kind of pursuing this medium, I decided that I would create it. So I developed, and I pitched a project that later ended up on Bravo as their first televised wedding special. Originally, I think Wanda told you it was called The Ringleader, and later on they ended up airing it throughout the summer as The Wedding Party. If I can't control the end product, at least to a fairly significant degree, I'm just not comfortable risking my brand. I've worked too hard to build it. But while maintaining some control, there's always going to be elements that end up being out of your hands, and that's what's scary, to be perfectly honest. They're not all going to be consistent, so it's definitely about hedging your bets as much as possible. I mean, for instance, on Bravo, I know that they certainly wanted more drama that I'm great on delivering. I'm not a big table flipper over, and I don't throw a lot of drinks in people's faces. So there was this moment where they were like, you know, we need more drama for the show, and so they portrayed it as there being no rehearsal. We actually rehearsed lighting cues, draping cues, music cues for the ceremony, which was very technically complicated, for 4 hours. And it was difficult. I did receive some criticism for it, and that's very scary. I got off easily, but it's something that, you know, I always feel it's my responsibility to be honest about that experience. because I certainly have done a number of these. The thing about doing Bravo that was a good thing is that by kind of putting myself out there, which was scary, but trying to do it in a way that I could at least try and control my brand, you know, then I ended up getting other stuff from it. I ended up getting an opportunity to be more of a consultant on a show, and to have a running role as someone that is kind of the wedding go-to for another show. Now I've got the style show that's coming out, that it's a pilot that's airing this week, where I'm hosting. And it's easy. I check in, it doesn't do anything other than support my brand, and this is something that's really important to me. But I definitely did take some risk, calculated risk. And so that is something to think about if that's a medium that feels like is right for you. Social media and the internet have both simplified and magnified the importance of self-promotion, which is a whole new world for some of us that I didn't start utilizing some of these tools that I now utilize today as a big part of my everyday task on my Post-it. Social media and the internet make you accessible everywhere. They're not your brand, nor is your brand based on how popular you are on this forum. However, it can certainly amplify your brand and your reach, which can make it a great tool. Clients do expect you to have an online presence, but that presence has to be authentic. Show your personality. Engage with the audience. Don't be afraid to put it out there. If your social media isn't entertaining, informational, intriguing, nobody's going to stay tuned in. And if the content isn't unique to you and your voice, then it's not going to strengthen your brand message. In fact, it could dilute it. I can't tell you how many times I've written something and said, you know, can I post this? Is this okay? Can I say this? You know, and my team's like, no, you can't say that. I'm like, well, it's too late. I just put it out there. My bad. You know, and so then there's this, oh my God, like, should I say that? Could I say that? I don't know. But at this point, I've realized, you know, within reason, I never want to offend anyone, of course, but haters gonna hate, as they say. You know, it's, you know, once the color comes back on all of our faces and we're like, are we okay? Are we okay? We realize that, yeah, we're okay, because my client wants to hear my unique voice. They don't want me to just, you know, chime in with like, I love daisies. Well, yeah, I mean, okay, and it's fine if I'm really having that day where I'm like, I love a daisy today. That's fine, but for the most part, they want to hear more than that, so I give that to them. You know, I do chime in with certain things that have nothing to do with my day of events and planning and production and schedule and what I'm putting together and what textiles I think look amazing together. It's that, but it's all of it. But it is scary to put yourself out there, isn't it? But I think our audiences appreciate that depth. And they appreciate it when we keep it real. You've got to find out what your audience expects and what they want to hear. And if they want to hear something that you're not giving them, well, think about it. Is it something that maybe you can share more of? Create and share quality and brand consistent content if you want people to follow you and engage with you, which in turn grows your branding and your exposure. And of course, surround yourself with brand supporters and advocates, people who believe in your work. You know, it's the old adage of strength in numbers. Surround yourself with your people as well. Remain true to your professional vision and your values. That's all yours. So you take that ownership. That is the core of your brand message. If what you say and what you do doesn't match what you're promising, then the market will notice. And it is important to remain current and to change with the times, which I constantly have to do. You know, I drag and stomp my feet sometimes because it's just too overwhelming. But we have to, and we have to constantly reevaluate and reevaluate our own personal evolution, which should be constant. So we need to ask ourselves, have we articulated our message? Have you identified your people? Have you reached them in the right places? Do you have your bat signal going? Are you establishing an emotional connection? Are you asserting yourself as an expert and maintaining consistency in when, where, and how your brand message is being conveyed? Your brand isn't your company. It's so much more than that. It's the heart, it's the spinal cord, it's certainly the brain, and it's the soul of everything that you do. And you live your brand. in every action, in every reaction, how you handle things, everything is going to determine how the marketplace perceives you and perceives your brand. Most importantly, don't let fear drive the bus. Consumer rejection is okay. There's enough work to go around, so stand out. Be known for something. Not everyone's going to subscribe to your point of view, but it's better to have a distinctive point of view than to have none at all. Thanks for having me today. Questions?
Pajamas live in effect, and I don't waste time.
Yeah, you have 2 minutes for questions.
2 minutes, oh my God. Let's go. Does anybody have any questions or anything they'd like to share, anything either way?
I love you.
Thank you for that. Tell me a question.
Yes.
Oh, thanks for the lights.
How, as a planner, do I get past the mason jar?
Say that again.
You know, I have a distinctive brand. I'm different. I'm not, you know, the average age of a planner. I'm a little bit older. And, you know, the people that are coming to me for consultations, they're younger, they're 25, 20 years old, I'm much older than that. I'm not really the mason jar type of girl. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's cute.
Right.
I'm not the pink type of girl. But how, I'm thinking of the future, I'm more of an industrial chic type of girl.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I convince people of my brand, not that it's right or wrong, but how do I convince them, hey, this is the next wave that's coming, that you shouldn't be stuck in a trend.
Yeah, no,
The
I
trend is the
love what you're
mason
saying.
jar, you know.
Yeah, I don't think you can. I think that you can start to put that voice out there, which is a very relevant voice, and quite honestly, it's really refreshing. I love anytime anyone's trying to rethink what we're seeing all the time. By putting that out there, that's how trend takes place. Somebody has a unique voice that they put out into the marketplace, and other people take notice and say, wow, that's really cool, I want to do that. I mean, that's certainly how these things start. But if you're using mason jars, no, that's great, there's nothing wrong with that. This started because this was something that you know, was put out there, and a lot of people were like, oh yeah, I like that. That's pretty cool, I want to do that. You know, I think that it's the old, if you build it, they will come. So, you know, there's nothing wrong with starting, whether you're starting at 70, whether you're starting at 20. You have a consumer that's going to come to you based upon your unique set of experiences. And they'll find you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
How do you choose your vendors? So different catering services, different photographers, florists. I mean, you obviously have a very unique vision that you want to work with certain events, but do you use a specific vendor for specific events? Are you married to certain vendors, or how do you pick and choose what works for you and your style?
That's a great question. There isn't one single go-to for every single event, because obviously, you know, we do have a certain distinctive client, but that client kind of runs a gambit. There's a range within that client that comes to me. So certainly, you know, if we're talking about the client that's over here within my niche on this side of it, and there's the client that's over here, they may have very different needs that definitely necessitate different vendors coming to the table. Yes?
So my question is, when you first started out and you did like your first weddings, did you have a team of people, or did you do it all yourself? And if you did it all yourself, like how did you work through it and get past those moments where you're like, oh my gosh, this is so overwhelming and I hope I'm doing things right? And were you ever...
We'll still have that.
Yeah, and how do you like confront like a momentary issue and be like, okay, I just need to solve this problem right away and like make the bride feel comfortable, like you got it under control without them seeing, okay, I'm kind of just making this up but we're good.
Well, obviously, you don't want to make promises that you can't deliver on, but there is, you know, there is to a certain degree that fake it till you make it. You know, I think we've all experienced those moments where you're like, you know, I got it, no problem. I'm doing it. You know, but you're like, it's no problem. I'll be right with you. I've certainly had those moments, and you sell it, but you also go to people. It's okay to say, I don't know. I much prefer people coming to me. I mean, certainly people from our staffers that are like, listen, Katie, I don't know how to do this. No problem. Let me, you know, go to so-and-so, they can help you. Or I have a minute, let me help you. I don't know is okay. Obviously, you can't really say that to the client. You know, I learned what you're doing and how you work with clients than these. And, you know, you'll start to cultivate that and curate that, I think, as you go. Does that answer a little bit?
Yeah.
Anyone else? Yes?
Something that you had said earlier kind of stuck with me, and it was you have kind of cultivated this brand, and sometimes clients that you meet with don't necessarily kind of like fall into that.
Right.
Is there, and there's just something, a phrase that I've always kind of stuck with, or not stuck with, but it's kind of like a mutual selection process, so they might not necessarily click with you, or you might not necessarily click with them in what you guys are trying to build. Is there a way that you kind of came to that in the sense of where you didn't want to offend anyone, where you did meet with them and you're like, I don't really know if this is going to work with us?
It's hard. I mean, obviously, it's also, we're talking about somebody's wedding day. It's so fueled with emotion. We certainly never want to, you know, offend or make somebody feel even more vulnerable at an already vulnerable time. There is a gentle way of doing that. I think, you know, for me, it's many times like, you know, oh, I hear what you're saying. You know, I love this, and I think I get this vision. You know, I think I might know somebody that, you know, really might understand this vision even better than maybe what we could do. Let me introduce you and let me know how that goes, and you know, tell me. And if not, come back to us and let's make sure we get you a fit. I mean, it's that sort of careful letting down. It is also scary, I mean, in any sort of economic time, high, low, to turn down work. I know that sounds crazy, but I think at the end of the day, I mean, that's that thing that we have. And so if you can, trying to stay very responsive to who you are working with and why you are the right fit for them as a tool to constantly further your brand is always the ideal. But I do understand sometimes that we can't say no. I mean, you do the best you can. Maybe those are the ones that you don't put up for press. I think that's it. Thank you.